Hey everyone. So, I stumbled across a popular question on Google. Is Lithuania a rich or poor country? It's not too surprising that this question is so common. A lot of people who aren't familiar with Lithuania still associate it with the image of a poor, post-Soviet Eastern European country. Think of the outdated expectations shown in the past. We tend to associate wealth with countries like Switzerland or the UAE, and poverty with certain regions like parts of West Africa. Lithuania, for many, is still a bit of a question mark. Even before doing any research, my first answer would have been, it depends who you ask. But let's face it, that's not a very satisfying answer. So let's dig into some data. An article from the Borgen project written in 2016, which described Lithuania as a high-income country by World Bank standards, with a gross national income per capita of around $15,000 at the time, more than Russia's $11,000, but less than half the EU average of $34,000. Lithuania's GNI per capita has risen to about $24,000. So progress. In fact, Lithuania's GDP per capita is now higher than Poland's, and depending on how you measure it, higher than Estonia's too. Global Finance ranked Lithuania 41st in the world for GDP per capita in 2025, but GDP alone doesn't tell the whole story. Poverty and inequality in Lithuania. According to a 2025 article by LRT, the number of people living under the absolute poverty line in Lithuania has decreased. That sounds great, until you find out that the poverty threshold is set at just 354 euros per month. However, in my opinion, if you earn 360 euros, you're technically not poor by that definition, but that doesn't mean you're not struggling. The EU uses a different benchmark. Anyone earning less than 60% of the national median income is considered at risk of poverty. In Lithuania, that's about 20% of the population, and that figure has stayed pretty much the same since joining the EU. Income inequality is another major issue. Lithuania ranks near the top in the EU for inequality, just behind Bulgaria. The rich are doing quite well, but the poor are still struggling. An article from Latvia's public broadcaster even showed that Lithuania has greater income inequality than Latvia and Poland. Let's talk about the middle class, savings and daily life. A 2024 report by LRT described Lithuania's middle class as, in its statistics, the Global Economic Organization OECD says people earning between 75% and 200% of the national median are classified as middle class. This means that the middle class in Lithuania includes people earning between 1,363 euros and 3,634 euros before tax, or between 930 euros and 2,200 euros after tax. There are some fascinating contrasts. 9 in 10 Lithuanians own their homes. Only 1 in 3 have at least 2,000 euros saved in the bank. The rest live paycheck to paycheck. Now, the reality on the ground is, if you're in Vilnius, you'll see Porsches near the airport and fancy car dealerships downtown. But walk just a few blocks away and you'll find aging apartment buildings and families barely getting by. So, the question is Lithuania rich or poor? Well, like said, it will depend. Lithuania isn't Switzerland or UAE, but it's also nowhere near the poverty levels of countries like Uganda or Sierra Leone. It sits somewhere in the middle, making steady progress, but still dealing with inequality and economic challenges, especially outside the big cities. Well, What do you think? If asked if Lithuania was rich or poor, what would you say? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to support us, give us thoughts in the comments and share your views. See you next time.